ये है आपका अपना सबरंग 94.7 FM।
सबरंग रेडियो 94.7 एफएम ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਲਿਸਨਰਸ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਮੰਡੇ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਟਵਾਣਾ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਟਵਾਣਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਥੋੜੀ ਦੇਰ ਤੱਕ ਜੁੜਨਗੇ, ਪਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਥੋਮਸ ਲੁਕਾਜ਼ਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਦੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੈਂਟ, ਇੱਕ ਵਧੀਆ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਮੈਨ, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਟੀਚਰ ਰਹਿ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਉਪਲਬਧੀਆਂ ਹਾਸਲ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ। ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਵੀ ਨੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਅਵਾਰਡ ਵੀ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਇਸੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਰਾਹ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਮੁਸੀਬਤ 'ਚ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕੀਤੀ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਦਰਕਨਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਧੀਆ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ। ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੂਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਬੜੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਪਾਂ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਬੈਕ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਲੁਕਾਜ਼ਕ।
Thank you so much.
Sure. Mr. Lukaszuk, I think I'll ask you a short question, and if you can answer me in short, then that'll be nice to spend and ask you a lot of questions.
Sure.
And that'll be quick, yes or no, I guess, right?
Mm.
So, travel expenses for the cabinet ministers were in trouble. Like there were a lot of questions that they were doing it, and there was a call for the public inquiry. If you become a premier, will you call a public inquiry?
Public inquiry, I think there's a better way, actually, that you will find out more and more openly. The Auditor General started an inquiry. He's 100% independent. I would ask him to carry on, go as far and as deep as he wants to. If he doesn't want to, I would ask him who is most competent and most independent to do it. Whatever advice he gives me, that's the advice I would take.
Yeah.
Public inquiry often is a big media circus, and at the end we find out nothing. Remember when Rush Sherman was asking for public inquiry into queue jumping? We spent almost, I believe it was $10 million, and nothing was found.
No, I think it will be expensive, but the problem is somebody need to take a stand, because it was not only the ex-premier, but there were some other problems too, right?
Yeah, that's why the whole cabinet needs to be examined, not just the premier.
And it is very hard to get the information from that department. Even I think the information leaked about you today, about your cell phone bill, it was a part of that somebody within the circle leaked it. Otherwise, it is not a part of the somebody put in information and they got the information, right?
Yes.
So that was my first question. And second question, one of your candidate in the race came up with the idea of term limit for the MLAs and the premier. Will you support that?
No. You know why? Because it's simply something that cannot be implemented in Canada or in the British parliamentary system. The fact is, number one, it's not constitutional. You would be breaking the Constitution, and no province can make that law. Second problem with it is that our governments in our government system can fall on every budget. It's called a vote of non-confidence. We had prime ministers that only served for 1 or 2 terms and then the government fell. What would you do with that? Would that be counted as a full term or not? This system, this is not the United States of America. This system is not able to accommodate term limits. And you know what? I sort of like democracy. Why don't voters decide whether they want to keep a good MLA or turf a bad MLA? Premier Lockheed, people wish she would be a premier for 10 more years.
So will you support calling back your MLA?
I'm sorry?
Will you support that? I think that this is the policy.
Recall?
Recall.
No, recall is interesting. In principle, I have no issue with recall. The only problem with recall is this, that you usually need about 50% of voters to sign a petition to recall. An average guy like yourself can never get that many signatures on a petition.
Yeah.
So consequently what happens, and we see this in California and a few other places, only unions and very large religious groups can recall a politician. An average citizen could never get 50% of signatures on a petition. How would you do that?
That's not
right. So that becomes problematic. But if there is a mechanism out there that allows for recall that is reasonable, and not only for special interest groups, but for average Albertans, I would support it. Why not?
Yeah. And then it comes to another question that, when Mr. Jim Prentice started his candidacy to be the leader of this province, there was a rumors going on that he wanted to merge this party with the Wild Rose. Where do you stand on that?
Not a chance. Not a chance. There is a significant difference between Wild Rose and I simply would not compromise my values. I believe in human rights legislation and I believe in human rights commission.
Well, they changed their policy too now.
Well, you know what? But you can't change those policies like that. You know, you don't change religion overnight, and you don't change values overnight. You are who you are.
But Alberta, can we have two right-wing parties at the same time?
We can. Sure we can. And why not have that?
So next election, I think normally when we have the leadership race, the poll number goes up. I think it favors the party which has having a race. We do have two parties who are going to be electing their leader, and one is PC Alberta and the other one is NDP. Of course, you're the party is the only one which is in the news. NDP, nobody's talking about it yet.
Yeah.
But the question is, the polls number are not helping your party either.
Sure.
So what you will do to bring those poll numbers up again?
You know what? People ask me, how are you going to position yourself to run as a leader? And I answer to them, I will just be myself. What I will do to bring our polls numbers up, I will simply do the right things. There is issues that need to be addressed. There is shortage of daycares for parents. There is shortage of senior homes for seniors. Our roads are in horrible shape. People are not happy with the transparency of government. People are not happy with how contracts are being given away to consulting firms that now support candidates during leadership race, but the day after election they will be there asking for contracts. I know for a fact that if I do the right things, not what the rules say, but the things I feel are right, Albertans will reward us in the 2016 election.
That's good. Actually, we try to keep you as long as on, but the problem was that we have a program from India after 8 o'clock.
Yes.
But in the end, like, what do you want to say to our listeners?
Well, you know what? I want to tell the listeners, it is time for average Albertans to make Alberta extraordinary. There are some real issues that I know families are struggling with, just like mine is. And I know that particularly as immigrants, there are issues with foreign credentials, with immigration, with bringing families. I know that there is issues with childcare. Moms are staying at home because they can't afford childcare. Those are very important issues. If we want to grow this province into a province that we're proud of, we need to address those issues. And you need a premier that you can relate to, that you can pick up a phone and talk to. A premier that lives a normal Alberta average life. A premier that is willing to talk to you and to the media. And if you want that kind of a person to run the province, I certainly hope that you will support me. You know, we may have come from different parts of the world, but we went through the same process. Immigration is the same for everybody.
Maybe we can ask you more and more in coming programs, because at 8 o'clock our technician is just waiting for us to change the program.
Before election, I think when you happen to be in Calgary, you can call us and we can have you in the studio anytime.
I would be honored.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Take good care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
ਦਿਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਉਮੰਗ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿਰਸੇ ਤੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਅਤ ਦੇ ਸੰਗ, ਪਰਦੇਸੀ ਮਿੱਟੀ ਤੇ ਜਿਉਣ ਦਾ ਦੇਸੀ ਸੰਗ, ਨਵੇਂ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਗਾਣੇ, ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰਿਟੀ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊਜ਼ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਮਨੋਰੰਜਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮਾਂ ਦਾ ਔਨ 에ਅਰ ਚੈਨਲ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਦਬੰਗ, Sabrang 94.7 FM Sabrang